we were really excited to see Stefan Eustaquio back in the lineup. Jordo, you mentioned he does get the game winner in this one. But is he really wheels that engine that drives this team?
He is. He's their most important player for me. He does the little things right to make everyone around him that much better. And over the course of the game, he had his struggles in distribution as well, connecting with some of the players. When push comes to shove, the work rate, the positional acumen, the fact that he plays a role in this team that they don't have anyone similar that can play that role. Now you're looking whether it's Kone or Osorio or Kay or whoever it is who are going to come along for the ride and really step up their game to play alongside Eustaquio in the midfield. I still think there's a position up for grabs there, but most certainly if he's not the first player on your team sheet in the same position, he's right there along the likes with David and Davies and company. He is that important to this team. And it's fitting that he goes on to score his first Canada goal since 2021 and the match winner in this game. I thought he was excellent. And the fact that he continues to do the little things right just makes Canada that much more of a complete team.
Yeah. How much different did this team look to you, Ollie?
Massively. He's a huge difference maker. And I still think there's a question as to who plays alongside him, because I think he's so good that, like, when he has Kone next to him, I think he has to be a bit more aware defensively himself that he is the guy who has to be cautious, has to make sure he's helping the defense in transition, because Kone wants to play with freedom. So I'm not saying take Kone out of the team. I think you can find other spots for him, and he's a huge talent in his own right. But putting someone alongside Eustaquio, I think, frees him up to do things like this. This happened when Marc-Anthony Kaye was partnered with him in central midfields, and he does have goals in his game. He does have the ability to affect the game in the final third. So I think that's an interesting conversation going forwards, is how you get the best out of Eustaquio, and not just maybe benefit from how much he helps others.
Well, but what he does is allows you to play that two-man midfield. Without him, you have to play three in that area. And even if we spin it back to the World Cup, guys, and Canada's midfield problems at that tournament, Eustaquio was hurt. He wasn't fit. He was trying to gut it out. He couldn't. Put Eustaquio in that team and the way they performed at the World Cup, perhaps some more things would have gone Canada's way.
Yeah, you needed someone like Eustaquio to be healthy. He would have been able to press and connect the team like he always does. And you saw it against Jamaica. I know it's a different competition, Jamaica and the World Cup, but the work that he does in the back and the way that he can connect the Davies, the Davies, and get the ball to them in the right spot. If you really just take him in, if there's just like a highlighter on him and his movement, he's always moving in a position to benefit others, right? Sometimes that's getting the ball, sometimes that's not, and relieving and opening up space. But I thought when Marc-Anthony Kaye came on, I think that little relationship was great in terms of Marc-Anthony Kaye knew, hey, I'm just going to hold sometimes and let a better play on the ball, which is fine. Sometimes when you play with someone and you know they're more attacking, like Eustaquio, you just hold your role. We also know this, Ollie. We've all seen the game. And you just have to say, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to kind of bunker in and allow Eustaquio to do that. So whoever plays with him in that midfield just needs to recognize those moments. I think if they can do that, they could be the partner next to him full time.
One more as we look back on that leg one, Jonathan David gets that goal, as you mentioned, right near the end of that first half. So the timing, great, putting, Canada up, heading into the half, feeling good about themselves, assisted by Kyle Larin. And we were wondering how these two would perform. These are supposed to be guys who find the back of the net. Kyle Larin hasn't done so yet at the pro level, whereas Jonathan David for Lille, in regular season action, he has 2 goals, with the last one coming end of August. So we're like, what are we going to see? What's going to happen? They connect, they get the goal. Has any of that put any worries to bed for you, Jordan, when it comes to at least how they perform with the national team?
This tandem is exceptional. Granted, I will say with strikers, right? You're always like, okay, when's your next goal coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? But this tandem, these two together, I said before, like Andy Cole and Dwight York. Yeah, probably on a smaller sense, obviously. This is the glory days of Man United. But in terms of players that are finding each other or this chemistry, the way they play, I even take it a step further. One will probably hate this because you're calling them uber short. But if you're looking at Peter Crouch and Jermaine Defoe, like guys that just like knew where the other one was going to be, or like knew, hey, I'm going to play the ball across. You see with this goal as well, like Kyle Larin deserves all the credit, takes an extra touch, make sure that Davies is going to be onside. That's a beautiful tap. And like these two together, immediately pointing at him, I think they just know where the other's going to be. They're really keen on, hey, one's going to go deep. I'm going to move into the box. I think at this play as well, like if it gets cut back, right? that should just be a finish for Kyle Larin, right? They're just always looking for each other. I think you always have to play with them, whether one coming short. I loved having David kind of in that pocket because I think he's so clever with his movement, and then just having a big frame like Larin to hold it up. You even see on the first goal, Andy, the way he can turn defenders. Like, this is not easy to do, but he's so strong that you can't really get close to him because he'll turn you. And then if you back off like that, he also has the feet to get around you. So for me, you have to play both of them. You can't just play one, because this is what you can get. This is the tag team duo that they do. And it was just nice to see them show up for Canada once again.
Yeah, so they managed to get on the scoreboard. As we look ahead, Ollie, these players are so crucial to the offense, and Eustaquio and kind of B, and I always say, you guys say conductor, I say maestro in the middle.
Maestro.
It seems to be a consensus. I see everybody nodding their head when it's like Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, they have to be playing together. So we haven't said a name yet, which is usually one of the biggest names here, Ollie. What about Alphonso Davies? Is there pressure for him to perform offensively in leg 2? And kind of how did you feel, his role was in leg 1? Let's just talk Davies. How about that? Alphonso Davies, Oliver Platt.
I think, there is obviously going to be pressure on him to have a big game in the second leg, because I don't think he was at his best maybe in the first leg. Had some nice moments, but certainly Eustaquio, Larin, David gets a goal, Orea has a big moment. Those guys kind of stole the show a little bit. I just think from an internal perspective, if you're Biello, if you're Alphonso Davies' teammates, you want to be taking that pressure off of him as much as possible, because at times I think he looks like a player who wants to be the best player, wants to put his team on his back. And I think that's admirable. He wants to step up and lead this team because of the quality he's got, the level he plays his club football at. But I don't think it's necessarily that realistic or that helpful to have that expectation on his shoulders every single game. He can't be Canada's best player every game. He doesn't need to be. Right, he just needs to be Alphonso Davies, and if he does that on a consistent enough basis, he's going to be a massive plus, a massive benefit for this team. So we'll see where he plays, whether they try him at left back in this game with the benefit of being at home and being a bit more confident. I think they possibly could. But for me, I just see a player at times, taking the penalty at the World Cup. I think he's a guy who really feels that weight of wanting to be Canada's best player, and I don't think that necessarily has been the most helpful thing for him.
Wheels, you're shaking your head. What do you want to see from Davies?
I want to see him in the exact same role as he played last game, with him and Buchanan in those wide areas in a 4-2-3-1. They defend in a 4-4-2. It's perfect. Support in behind Alphonso Davies at left back. It allows him to go out and be a real threat down that left-hand side. I think people are expecting the superstar end product each and every time with Alphonso Davies. I'm looking at the little things. Every time he gets on the ball, he draws so much attention to him. Like, there's 2-3 players that are all focusing on Alphonso Davies because they don't want to get burned. They don't want to get beaten by Davies, and he's opening up so much space for the other players in this team. If anything, if you want to nitpick, perhaps the ball just needs to move a little bit quicker. But on that soft pitch, the Bermuda grass down in Jamaica, it just wasn't a game that you were going to ever see that happen. So, the other thing that Davies can obviously improve on is taking set pieces. Some people might ask, why is Davies on set piece duty? Well, you have one with the right foot, one with the left foot, depending on the situation. And Davies, in terms of left-footed players on the field, has the most quality in that area. Is he a finished article in that end? No, but I absolutely understand why he's on left-footed set piece duty. And until there's someone else better in the team, he's going to be on it. So I have no concern, absolutely zero concern when it comes to Alphonso Davies and his role in this Canadian men's national team. He's just such a threat. Another player that's given the opportunity for other players to step up and have big moments.
And isn't that often the case? Yeah, I was going to say, Jordan, isn't that often the case too? Like, he is an exceptional player, but then sometimes it's incumbent on the other teammates knowing full well that Jamaica's going to close in on him. He's going to be tag team, triple
every
team,
time.
And then it's kind of incumbent on the other players to make themselves open. But maybe it's also Davies understanding that is going to happen. So sometimes the offensive glory might go to the teammates, right?
Yeah, and that honestly, I think that he still has the meekness and humility that obviously just wants the team to do well. But I think in a position where he plays left wing, which is really risk reward, and what that means for me is that sometimes it's going to work. The risk is dribbling, taking on players. And sometimes it's not. I think for Davies, what I want to see more is we know that he can burn players, but no one really does that 10 out of 10 times. If it doesn't work, maybe you've done it maybe once or twice, or you've lost the ball. I'm not even saying pragmatic, but just make sure, maybe this time I'm not going to take a guy on. I'm going to make sure I give it to a striker or whatever it might be. There are like rhythms in the match. We've seen Davies sometimes play, and if there's 2-3 times he's trying to do something special, it's like just get it simple again. Get into that rhythm, then you can build from that and show his glory. And it's kind of what Ollie was saying as well, right? Not every game he's going to be 10 out of 10. And personally, I don't expect anyone to do that. But I expect, because he's that good, he's that fast, he's that technical, he's playing the game at such a high level all the time, to find ways to impact the game. That's what I expect from him. So I never want to see a performance. Alphonso Davies can't be a 6 out of 10 because he has the quality to be 10 out of 10, even though it's not achievable or attainable to be perfection all the time. He has to find a way to make his teammates better. And I think we can all agree on that.
Well, and I think one of his teammates makes him better for Canada as well. Atakubi playing behind him just provides a little bit of a
100%.
safety net for him to go out and use that pace. Like every time the ball comes to him, I'm like jumping out of my seat, because just he has that quick burst of pace. You just don't know what to expect. That's why if I could get a $20 ticket or a $30 ticket to go down to BMO Field on Tuesday night, I'm doing it. I mean, for me, Alphonso Davies is worth the price of admission, because you simply don't know what to expect.